Buju and in the way Magananak, Robert Shimmick, Indigenous Cause, Ani Maki Anaquad, Nindago, Ogashko Manasi, Hindu Dame. So, my name is Robert Shimmick, and I am the Executive Director of the White Earth Land Recovery Project, which is the parent company for Niijii Radio. White Earth Land Recovery Project has been around for about 26 or 27 years now. It's one of the largest and certainly one of the longest lived native nonprofits in the nation. We have a long history, a long track record of advocacy on a number of issues related to Indian country and the environment. When the whole possibility of having our own radio station was presented, of course you go after it. You do everything you can to bring that about. And, through the efforts of a whole lot of people, many who are no longer here, we now have Niijii Radio. And I think, to me, the importance of community radio is certainly tied to that of commercial radio and even public radio. Because certainly we can tune into commercial or public radio and hear all kinds of music. We can hear all kinds of news and information. But what's been left behind, what's been left swept under the bridge or under the bus, so to speak, is so much as, what's happening right here on our Indian reservation here in northwestern Minnesota. How do we give that community voice? How do we give those events and activities voice? I think that's, that was the missing piece. We had nobody who was out there talking to our Native students at the Circle of Life Academy. We had nobody out there talking to children or parents or adults at a variety of different gatherings and functions over the course of the year. And what's so critical about the radio is it's like a force multiplier. If we send two people to cover an event somewhere on the reservation, aside from what's happening there at the event, the word about what's going on reaches many, 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 many other people on the reservation, off the reservation, and all over the country, as near as I can tell. So much of our culture is couched in the language. To fully understand the culture, you have to understand the language or have a rudimentary understanding of the language. So, for instance, when I hear Nabik on the Talking with Terry show at 8:30 or 8:35 in the morning, I'm thinking, Nabik is certainly teaching us about a certain skill set related to the language, but he's also, or often he talks about the inner meaning of those words that he's using that particular day. Right now, we're in the spring of the year. In a couple of days, we'll be entering the phase of the moon we call Iskika Mizige Gizis, the moon of the boiling sap. We just got done with Onabane Gizis, the moon of the crusted snow. Once you start learning more and more and more about these various words and what's inside them, not only does culture take on a new meaning. You know, it takes on a whole new sense of life and purpose and place that helps us better define as Anishinaabe who we are and our place in the world. That's the beauty of this kind of radio station. We can do that now. Nobody else is going to do that for us. That's up to us. If we're gonna bring these things back, if we're going to talk about these things, we have to do it. Nobody's going to hand it to us. We have to go out. We have to get it. We have to create the programming. We have to clean it up, and we have to put it on the air so it does make sense to our listeners, so that we can then grow together, you know, through what we're providing with our radio service.
So my name's Margaret Rozo. I go by Maggie. I'm from Gawaba, Baganakut, White Earth. Lived here all my life. And I manage Niijii Radio. Being manager of the station, I really need to make sure that what we are bringing to the people is relevant and culturally relevant. And in doing that, we have to really look at our programming, where we're getting the programming, who's developing it, that it's something meaningful to our people. The stuff we create in-house really has a cultural meaning and feeling to it. The interviews that you're going to hear that have been produced through one of the funding sources we have is Art, Culture, and Heritage Fund, the state of Minnesota. And through that funding, we are able to develop our own programs from our community in regards to the history of our communities and our elders and our traditions. One of the major things in regards to being independent versus owned by the tribe. So if the tribe were to own us, we would be very limited on what we can share with the community. Being an independent from the tribe, we are able to, such as just recently the candidate interviews we did, you know, as much as I would like to say our tribe would have done that, I don't know. Because a lot of times, take for instance the Anishinaabe newspaper. It's completely audited or edited by the tribal council. So if they don't want you to know something, it doesn't go in the paper. So for us to be independent and we get information and we look at it and we take it, you know, we take it as unbiased as we can. We don't have the bias of the tribal council controlling what we do and what we say, which makes for a much more well-informed community. The cultural programming is absolutely providing people education and understanding of themselves. One of the things about us as Native people is, and everybody knows it, we have been stripped of culture, we've been stripped of language. Families were stripped of their children. You know, everything was taken. We have the ability to give back. As Niijii Radio, we can give back to the people what has been taken and hidden away for years, for forever in my lifetime.
Buju and Denawe Maganag, Wawate Akwe, Miniwa Gitaga Kunt Indagu, Grace Indigenous Kaz, Mangindudem, Gakabikang Nandunjiba, Ogama Udenanganda. Wawate Akwe is my name, which means Northern Lights Woman. My other name is Fawn, and my English name is Grace. I'm from Minneapolis, and I currently live in Ogama, which is here on the White Earth Reservation. My clan is Loon, and my father is Gary Roberts. Maganang Ududem. He is Loon clan. My mother is Myrna from Ajimog. Makwan Odudeman. Her clan is Bear. Nindana Shinabi Kwayu. I am an Anishinaabe woman. Here at Niijii Radio, I volunteer. I do a radio show. I volunteer by helping out with community events such as the Berry Social, Pine Point Music Fest, Ogama Days Parade. I help with a lot of parades. I also have my kids with me, and they help as well. They have a lot of fun helping with the parades. I helped with the music gala one time, and I look forward to it. I've been here at Niijii Radio since the first airing, and from what I remember, we were upstairs, and they had the drum upstairs in that little area, and I had my son with me, and he was just a few months old, and I'm still here, and he's 4 years old now, running up and down these hallways. I started off doing a show just as a request show, getting used to being on air. My cousin was a co-host with me, and we had a lot of fun, just sharing our personalities, being bubbly, goofing around. And then the next year, I ended up doing a show, calling it Reviving with Grace, talking about the uses of plants and sharing Ojibwe Moan. My main focus this year has been sharing Ojibwe Moan, community announcements, and powwow announcements. And that is to help with the community knowing what good things are going on out there, what good things there are to do. I hear a lot that there's nothing to do on the reservation. Well, I find that to be very untrue. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of good gatherings where there's good people that are there to help you. Niijii Radio helps people gather by putting on events, figuring out what will bring the people together in a good way, and pretty much nurture their spirit, fill their bellies with food, nurture the spirit with some music, and come together in a good way where everyone is welcome. What I share on my show, Reviving with Grace, is Ojibwe Moan, and in our rural area, it's very hard to get from community to community, and my show is bringing the language to people who don't have, let's say, a vehicle to make it to language tables or to make it to Ojibwe classes, or maybe they just don't have anyone around them that speaks the language, because not too long ago, our language was forbidden. Our language was forbidden, and our elders were afraid to speak the language and to pass it on. And so we don't hear much of our elders speaking. We have very few fluent speakers. I myself am not a fluent speaker. I am just beginning to learn the language, but I feel it is important to share what I can and to let the community know that it is okay to learn. It's okay to speak your language. No, we do not sound perfect when we start speaking, but our minds, our spirit, and our tongue are waking up. They're getting used to it. It's in our genes. It's in the memory in our genes that we got from our ancestors. We need to wake up that language. And that is what I do with my show, by sharing Ojibwe Moan with people who may not have people in their lives that can share the language with them. So if they're at home, out on the reservation, maybe out, in the remote areas and can't get out, they can tune on to KKWE 89.9 FM Niijii Radio. One thing I notice that makes Niijii Radio different is that we welcome anybody despite of history, culture, skin, lifestyle. Niijii Radio is Actually, Niijii is translated into friend, and that's what being at Niijii Radio is about being friends. And we live in an area where we're in the heart of a Native community, but there's also surrounding communities, and bringing us together is what I see going on here at Niijii Radio. We see benefits in our children. Our children are able to accept others and their differences. When I see us at events and we have Native and non-Native kids playing together, it makes me very happy because, I've seen a lot of differences tearing communities apart because of the diversities in the community, and rather being a community as a whole. And when we do our events and we have our meetings and go out into the community, I see us as unified.
I'm Angela Boudreau. I grew up on the White Earth Reservation. I've lived here since I'm 30 now. I've lived here since the 5th grade. Yes, I listen to Niijii Radio. I do listen to Niijii Radio. My kids enjoy listening to Niijii Radio. They enjoy the goofy, meaningless jokes that Terry has in the morning. They really enjoy that. My favorite part about Niijii Radio is that everyone's welcome. It's kind of neat that you meet so many different people, and they're coming and going and coming and going, and it's really cool. Everyone from everywhere is incorporated into here. Somebody knows of this place. It's kind of nice. Niijii Radio is a voice. It's hope. I didn't know about it at first, and then when I did, it's awesome. Like, just listening to when Terry or when Grace are playing the Ojibwe Moan, that's really cool. You're not going to hear that anywhere else. You're not going to be able to tune in and maybe pick up a few words. When I realized that we had a radio station here, I thought, how cool. We're slowly dying. Our culture, our race, our people, we're slowly becoming nothing. The history books talk about us as if we're already gone. Schools talk about us as if we're already gone. To be able to wake up and know, like, you have a radio station that's about you, about your culture, about your people, about who you are. Not just about that, but it pertains that. It just makes you feel like somebody's saying, hey, we're still here. It's really cool.
My name is Charlie. I am Ojibwe Anishinaabe Ikwe from White Earth Nation. I'm a mother of 5, 4 guys and 1 gal, and I have 15 grandchildren and 1 great-grandson. I get elders together and help with elder interviews along with youth, and I am a volunteer. I definitely am a listener, and when I'm in the community, I let community members know about Niijii Radio, and we have community members that don't even know that Niijii Radio exists. So I think whoever is working for Niijii Radio, whether it be volunteers, staff, I think it's important that you share what's going on with Niijii Radio, because the more voices we get out there, the more we can communicate and come back together as a nation. I think that the role that Niijii Radio plays for the community is very important. It brings us all together as a community, and I think it also brings in volunteers, because we definitely need volunteers at the radio station to help, because we only have a couple paid staff, and in order to have the radio station continue, it's important that we have volunteers to help man the programming, or whatever your interest is, to come on board and just be involved and bring the community together.
Neen, my name is Derek Whidden. Gewa Nadizi Maying and Indishinakaz. That means my name is Crazy Wolf. That's
the name I go by on the air. I run a show on 89.9 FM Niijii Radio, KKWE, called Alternative. I'm a descendant of the White Earth band of Ojibwe in Minnesota. I live here in Minnesota. I was born and raised in Florida, and I moved up here. I started with Niijii Radio right at the very beginning when we went officially live on air on, the date is November 11th, but we call it 11/11/11, year 2011. And the time was actually 11:11 in the morning, was the exact time and date that we went live. There was a ceremony here at the station where we had a feasting. A holy man brought in a pipe, and there was a drum, and some songs were sang on the drum as a kind of an opening ceremony, and this was all done live on the air as well. And that was our beginning. I have a show called Alternative, and I come on twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday from 7 till 9 in the evening. It's kind of prime time. I chose those days because they fit within my schedule. I work 2 jobs, and this is the best that I could do for my time that I have, my free time. I want to entertain mostly, but I want to show people that our music, meaning American Indian music, is not just powwow music. There are people within our culture that have embraced all styles of music that are available around the world, as far as rock and roll, country, pop, some dance, blues. I've been able to pick up bits and pieces. I call it my library that I have on our system here. It's taken me quite a long time to put together a small collection of about 40 CDs. I've been working on it since 1999 is when I bought my first one, Robbie Robertson. And he's got a kind of a rock and roll style. Well, he was with the band with Bob Dylan. But he did a couple solo albums that reflect more about his culture. He's from the Iroquois tribe. And I thought, well, that was wonderful. And I started to find maybe 1 or 2 CDs a year. And the music that our people play, it is more than just entertaining in music. It tells a story, and it's very heartfelt music that our people sing. Even in the heavy metal genre, there's a band called Blackfire that are from the Navajo, and they're actually activists. They want to tell the story of what's happening on the Navajo reservation, about the mining and things that are going on down there that are destroying the earth down there, poisoning the water. And this music is the only way that they can reach out and tell people about what's going on down there. So there's a lot of different things going on with our music, and in mainstream radio, that doesn't get any airtime. So I wanted to take this opportunity when I heard about White Earth starting a radio station, and I thought it would be a cool idea to do a show that focused on American Indian music and not powwow music.
Niijii Radio is different from every other radio station because they are so cool. They have family running the radio station. You know what I mean? Not like, you know what I mean, family. I don't know, I just don't hear that. Everywhere else it's so mainstream and just Niijii Radio cares.
Hi, my name is John Boudreau. I formerly lived in Whitehurst, Minnesota, but now I live in Callaway. I'm 20, but I'll be 21 soon, later this year. Well, I play some awesome music like pop, rock, rap, and some Disney songs. You can tune in on Mondays and Thursdays. I think my show promotes happiness. I tell them what, some of the songs I tell them what year and what decade they from. A little histories of some of the songs. You know, like I tell them about the Jackson 5 of where Michael had this early childhood days when he performed a band with his brothers back in the day, and now he gone solo by doing his own performance. Like I'm doing this for other people, like, you know, play songs for them. When driving cars, listen to radio, sitting on laying on beds, sitting on armchairs.
My name is Zachary Page. I grew up in Long Island, New York. I studied music composition at SUNY Purchase in Westchester, New York for 4 years. I started teaching private music lessons out there and farming in the summers in Vermont. I realized that I liked farming a little bit more than my day job, and I wanted to make that my career and was interested in native agriculture. So I found the White Earth Land Recovery Project and made the risk and drove out here. I started out as a volunteer in Service to America, Vista, and I did that for 2 years. And then I wrote a grant for an Indigenous Seed Keepers Network, and I'm currently managing that project, working with seed keepers from all around the region. I started working with Niijii Radio advertising for the seed library and projects that I do. I started a honky tonk show, and I play a character, Hiram King, who is from down south and knows a little bit about honky tonk music, and I do this voice for that, and I like playing Hank Williams and Patsy Cline and give a little bit of honky tonk history, and I really enjoy playing that, doing that show because I personally love honky tonk music, and I also play songs on the air and tell stories and tell jokes, and sometimes invite musicians in and we play together too. I've heard comments about the show from people that say they really liked it. Oh, that's the music that I used to listen to in the past, and I think I'm providing some of that kind of music on the radio when you don't really hear really old good country. A lot of times on the country stations around here, you'll get the newer country and what's popular now, and it's a lot different than what went on in the 40s and 50s, and to kind of cherry pick the best songs and tell a little bit about them, I think it gives people comfort, and I think that's important when you're living alone or just having a hard time to be able to listen to your favorite songs. And I've heard a bunch of comments of people that really enjoy the show because of that. They really just love listening to those songs and hearing those stories. The show kind of has a lighter mood to it as well, so it's not too heavy. It comes right after Democracy Now!, which is a really great news program, but it also has a lot of there's a lot of heavy issues involved with that. So kind of brings the station back up to a lighter mood as well. Part of the work I do is running the seed library, which is an exchange of native rare seeds and also just seeds that have stories and stories to tell. So I wanted to share those stories one by one and really honor one seed a week. So I did that in a way with starting the Seed of the Week show on Niijii Radio, which is a 15-minute show. And it's very educational, so it's kind of jam-packed. And I've used other shows as reference, like Radio Lab and other educational shows that have fun with it, with edits and different voices and different characters that I'll do. But then I usually have one, maybe two, sometimes three people telling their story with one seed a week. So we've done the Cool Old Squash, which is that 800-year-old squash variety that was donated to Winona LaDuke. So Winona was my guest for that week. And then I also told other stories and how to grow the squash. We go into how to eat it. We'll go into how to harvest seeds. And then seed saving is a big part. So we'll also go into how to seed save that seed. And a lot of the seeds are seeds that people aren't completely familiar with seed saving, like tomato. You'll have to put the seeds into water and let it ferment for 2 weeks and then clean it and then dry it. So there's a big process involved with that. So that gets people coming into the seed library and also shares that seed saving education with our listeners.
My name is Terry Goodsky. I come from the Boys Fort Indian Reservation in northern Minnesota, and I work here at Niijii Radio. Well, actually, my show is called Talking with Terry Show, and I'm here Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Time. I play modern day music, I play R&B, I play rap, I play heavy metal, I play pop music. I just basically play everything that people like to hear. My show is all about good music and bad jokes and to put a smile on your face wherever you're at, whether you're listening to me on the radio or you're listening to me at work. I just want to bring, a little happiness to people's lives in the morning. As a Native person, I come in here and I do my best to represent myself and my community. And as a member of the community, I come in here and, I just make people laugh in the morning. And that's all I can do is, try to brighten somebody's day we have a lot of atrocities here in White Earth. And, I do my best to try to bring a little happiness to people's mornings. Laughter is contagious. We all need that. In our time and age when we have so many atrocities in our lives, a good bad joke or a good song that brings you back to a certain place in your life where you're happy. If I can do that, then I've did something, and I can be proud of that.
Well, my feeling is having Niijii Radio in existence gives us a connect to our community, and Niijii Radio has different programming, and we also have different events that we sponsor. So I think being out in the community, it just gives us a sense of pride that we can have that connect, and that we do have a radio station here on the White Earth Nation.